When people are released from jail, they have the responsibility to appear in court. But some of these people choose to go on the run.
They go back home to mommy.
And that is when these guys come into the picture. So sit back and listen to the Off the Hook podcast with Chad and Rob.
Very fine people on both sides.
These are real stories, but the names have been changed.
What's going on, guys? This is Rob.
I'm Chad, and we have a special guest today.
Mr. David Gross from the Gross Law Group. Everybody give him a big round of applause.
Yay! How's it going?
At least it's not crickets. So Dave here is a good friend of ours. We've known him for a long time. That's some good stuff, man. And we figured we'd have him on the podcast today, kind of go over some questions that, some general questions that people may have.
Right. We're going to try to cover some things that, you may have wondered about in the legal field that you just don't know about or you've heard. It might be rumors, and you want to know the truth. This is the guy to set it straight.
Yeah, man, because he's got this big billboard right outside of Hampstead with his arms crossed. It says, "You want to fight about it?" And I'm like, "Yep, that's Dave. That's Dave.
That's the guy you want on your side."
Yeah, well, if you need somebody to go to battle for you, I'm your guy.
Yeah. We did the. Matter of fact, so last summer we did the Kempton trial.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very interesting to see how that panned out. Not a lot of people liked the guy, but I was kind of partial to.
Yeah, apparently it was just me and you.
Hey, it's Colin.
Oh man, what is this guy?
No. He used to be on TV, local TV.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, he does something for the.
Yeah, somebody's at our door, guys. We don't
Yeah.
We try to lock it, keep them out.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to that Kempton trial. We had Jason Smith on the podcast here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard that one.
And I gave him a little bit of crap about the whole body cam, being silenced, and he just kind of looked at me like a death stare. Jason, sorry, buddy, I had to do it.
Yeah, that's unfortunate thing that some officers do is they like to mute their body cam when they're having personal conversations in the middle of an investigation. That
And a witness too.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's off. He's off in there. So anyway, I got some music for you. Hang on, ready?
Is that Night Court?
It's Matlock.
Oh.
We just had to do that to welcome.
My grandmother would think that this is awesome.
Look, man, you can tell my grandparents raised me.
My grandmother actually went to school with Andy. Actually,
really?
Yeah, up in Mount Airy. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
He's from. Oh, that's right. He is from Mount Airy.
Yeah, he's from Mount Airy.
Yeah, I went to the police academy with a guy that was from Mania, and his grandfather owned a garage, and they worked on all his cars.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, they'd go up there and pick them up and maintain them. He had a bunch of old classic cars.
Yeah, they were filming Matlock here in Wilmington for years.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was here. Yeah,
I didn't know.
A lot of it was filmed here. Matlock was.
Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, not the Andy Griffith show, but
Right.
Matlock. Yeah, it was
What,
filmed
like
here.
the courtroom scenes or the?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go
How
back.
about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, I know, right?
I was in one of them. I had a lot of friends that were in episodes of it. Yeah, when they filmed here for extras.
Man, that was a long time ago. All right.
Yeah.
So
Randy
Dave,
Travis was on there.
damn, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
That one was filmed here because I had friends that it was a gym scene. Like all my gym buddies were going into a gym and stuff, and like they had an altercation with Randy Travis in the episode. It was funny.
Wow. Wow. So Mr. Gross here is a criminal defense attorney here in town, right?
Correct.
Okay. And how long you been practicing here?
Since 2010.
2010. It has been that long.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. All right. So tell us a little bit about before you got in as an attorney. Were you a bondsman ever?
Well, I actually took I had my bonding license. I didn't actually write any bonds, but
Gotcha.
I Yeah, I was a police officer in Rocky Mount
Oh yeah.
for a little while. And then when I quit doing that, I got my private investigator's license and my bondsman's license. Did that for a couple of years. And then while I was finishing up my degree.
Wow, that's awesome. You understand where we're coming from all angles. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's the I've had a kind of a circuitous route to the law.
So you, where'd you go to law school at?
Chapel Hill.
Chapel Hill?
Mm-hmm.
Right on. Very respectable school, I guess, now.
Yeah, it was. I was there in 2009 when they won the championship. So that was.
Oh, I bet you that was a party time.
Yeah, it was a good time.
But all right, so Rocky Mount. All right, let me tell you about. All right, guys, if you guys listen and don't know what Rocky Mount is, I'll tell you. It's called Murder Mount for a reason. Like that place is horrible.
Yeah, that was in the late 90s when this is when crack was still real big.
You can get your car washed for $5.
Yeah, it was a performance enhancer.
Well, it's funny when you were a cop up there. I lived in Wilson, which is right south of Rocky Mount.
That's right. We were there around the same time, weren't we?
Yeah, Rocky Mount's rough. It's a rough area, and I don't go back there unless I absolutely got to go through it.
I had never been there before I applied for a job, and I've never been back since. I take that back. I've been back a couple times.
So with being now a criminal law attorney here in town, what do you see? What kind of charges do you represent the most?
Well, I actually practice all over Eastern North Carolina. So, I mean, I've got a case out in Rutherford County. So I go all over the state, but basically anything from speeding tickets to murder.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what do you, I know New Hanover County here has a big DWI rate. It's like, I think one of the largest in the state because it's, college town, beach town.
One of the highest vehicle insurance rate cities in the state, I believe.
Yeah.
Because of that.
Do you see, how many DWIs do you see?
Quite a few. I don't do as much district court work as I used to. I mainly try to stay in Superior Court. So it's the more serious crimes, murders, assaults, drug cases, things like that.
What's the one case that comes to mind that you beat that you still remember, that you'll remember the rest of your life or your career?
You're talking about like a DWI?
DWI to murder to whatever.
Most memorable case.
Most memorable win.
The DWI that comes to mind is there's a thing called a pre-arrest test that you can ask for, which I only know about it because I didn't learn about it in law school. I learned about it at the intoxilizer course when I was a police officer. And that's basically when you get pulled over, if you feel like you're not impaired and for whatever reason you don't think you'll do well on the field sobriety test, you can ask to skip all those and just go straight to the department and ask for and blow. And that's what's called asking for a pre-arrest test. But you have to specifically say, I don't want to do the field sobriety test, and I'll go to the station and give you a breath sample. So it's not a refusal. And I actually he didn't know anything about the pre-arrest test. He just so happened to say, "No, I don't want to do all that stuff. I don't think I'm drunk. I'll go down there to the station and blow, but I don't want to do all this dancing around on the side of the road." And the officer was like, "Yeah, okay," and proceeded to do the field sobriety test anyway.
So what would be the advantage to doing that? Buying yourself time or what?
Well, you're not buying yourself time because you're cutting out the time that you would have done with the field sobriety test. But the best example I could give is that you can get a DWI being under 0.07 or 0.08. Okay. So you could blow I've seen a 0.05 written for a DWI because it's based on appreciable impairment, not the number. The legislature has said 0.08. That in and of itself is enough evidence to prove DWI, to prove appreciable impairment.
I don't think a lot of people know this.
No, hell, I didn't even know.
I didn't know this. Yeah, I thought it was all based off a number.
No, I mean, because, well, think about it. You can get a DWI for pills, or you can get a DWI for.
I thought there was a difference
Illegal
between driving while impaired and driving under the influence, DUI.
In some states, there are. For example, Michigan has a DUI and a DWI statute. I'm not sure what the difference is. The number, maybe.
Okay.
I'm not real sure, because in North Carolina, we only have driving while impaired, and that's operating a motor vehicle on a street or public highway while your mental and physical faculties are appreciably impaired by alcohol or some other substance. So they can be appreciably impaired on cough medicine. So that's what they're actually proving is the appreciable impairment. So bringing it back to the pre-arrest test, if, like, for example, you have bad balance, if you had a bunch of TBIs, like there's a lot of veterans around here, they've been blown up multiple times, bad knees, bad back, whatever.
Right.
Plus the field sobriety test, the misconception a lot of people have is that it's pass fail. It's not. You've got 3 standardized field sobriety tests. Each test has a certain number of clues that can be present. And I've seen a DWI charged off 1 or 2 clues on 2 tests, and that was enough to give probable cause to arrest. So
I had heard once from Bill Paraguay that
the great and powerful Bill Paraguay.
I had heard that all the field sobriety tests were designed that were not natural functions of your body to do. Heel to toe, you don't walk that way. All these were designed to make you fail.
It's designed to not be easy.
Yeah. But like you said, if you had a physical impairment, a bad knee, a hurt foot, you couldn't do that.
Well, there's no real reason to do. All you're doing by doing field sobriety test is giving the officer more evidence to use against you.
So what would you advise somebody to do if they got stopped and they haven't been drinking, but the officer's accusing them of drinking?
Okay, if you have not had anything to drink, then blow. If I've been going all day, I haven't had any alcohol to drink, I get pulled over and the officer says, I think you've been drinking. All right, fine, let's do a test. Not the field sobriety test. I'd say take me straight down to the station and give me the test. So, because if you don't, that's a violation of the law. And I had to actually point it out to the judge and show her the actual statute, because, they don't teach anything about pre-arrest tests. And the only time you'll hear about it is literally in the intoxilizer course
Or
as a police officer.
Other cases, if you find it and happening in other cases.
Right. But I mean, literally, I asked just about no other attorneys that even heard of it.
And doesn't the intoxicator have to be calibrated from time to time on certain amount in order to be deemed accurate? Yeah.
Well, it's all computerized, and they have, it's supposed to be a redundant system, but basically it's got an alcohol solution in the machine. I'm sorry, the instrument. They get very upset if you call it a machine.
Okay.
It's in the instruments, and that is what they use to calibrate the machine and to test your breath against. That's what actually gets tested by somebody comes around. It's pretty frequent. It's once every month or 2.
I mean, I had heard that was another loophole, that they could possibly get with that. It wasn't calibrated, so it couldn't read accurate.
I think that was on the older ones. The new ones, if they go out of calibration, you can't use the instrument. Because it's back in the day when things were there was a lot of manual calibration that went on with it. That's where that came into play.
Okay.
But now that everything's computerized, it has a log, and it automatically checks and if something goes out.
They're closing all the loopholes.
Yeah.
It's tough. Best, I got some good advice. How just Uber.
Well, there's that. But
I'll put it this way. I tell people you have the right to drive it's driving while impaired. So as long as you're not impaired, if you've had a couple drinks, you're allowed to drive. However, it then becomes a sobriety contest with you and the officer. And depending on where you're at, if you're at one of the beaches, they're looking for you.
Yeah, right.
CBs, come
on vacation, leave on probation.
That's what they say.
They're tough.
Yeah.
That's for damn sure. Yeah. Any other cases other than DWIs that come to mind that was a big win for you?
Wow, you put me on the spot. I didn't realize I would be asking.
That's a great idea. While I'm thinking of it for TV, it's for for T-shirts. We could give our clients came down on vacation, left on probation. Yeah. You got bailed out. Here's your shirt.
This dude over here, man, he's got this T-shirt thing going, and he's doing a great job at it. It's awesome. I got a bunch of them, hats, too. And man, he's like coming up with designs left and right.
Yeah. I'm always got like a little idea sheet, But anyway,
Always marketing.
Right.
It would work good in Carolina Beach,
Right.
man. Carolina Beach, man. 25 years ago, when I was working with the fire department, damn, that's old, a long time ago.
That and the drive-through dentist office.
Oh, was there? I didn't know there was a drive-through.
It's an idea. Drive-through dentist office, quick service.
That place was a hole back in the day. And I'm surprised, like, it's come a long ways since 25 years ago.
Well, I hope they don't become the next Wrightsville Beach. It'd be nice to be able to have a beach you can still have fun at.
Yeah.
Wrightsville doesn't feel like beachy to me. Not really. Not like,
No.
some of these other places.
As soon as you come across the bridge, you're like, go home. I'm like, well, I just got
Are
here.
you having fun? We don't put up with that around here.
Plan on parking? That'll be $50.
Right. I think it's actually $25 a day now
Is it
to
that?
park at Wrightsville Beach.
Oh, that's the deal, I guess.
I don't know. I don't go.
I don't go- I
I
don't
just
go
get on
there
my
anymore.
boat, go over to Lee Island.
Yeah.
So, all right. So back to you, David. What's another case that comes to mind that was a big win for you?
We gave you time to think of this.
Yeah, right. We started joking about T-shirts and parking.
Well, there was another DWI I had up in Duplin County where we had to try it twice in Superior Court.
Hold on, is this the one with the 4-wheeler?
It was the same guy, but it was the first one. He actually he was from Raleigh and he was hanging out in Duplin County with his girlfriend. And they went to a Christmas party and they got into an argument. So she dropped him off in a field and called a ride and left him there.
Wow.
So where's the 4-wheeler come into play?
Oh, that was the second one.
Oh, that's the second one. Okay.
Yeah,
Dude.
so the first one, he was basically, his vehicle was in the field. It was on private property, so you can't get a DWI on private property. But they were like, well, we know you were driving before then. He's like, no, my girl dropped me off in this field. And they were like, yeah, right. And we ended up, the jury believed him, but we had to try that one twice. And then he also had one in district court where he was riding his 4-wheeler, in the field across the street from his grandma's house and crossing this side street. They were like, oh, that's on the highway.
Gotcha.
And so they charged him.
I had a case. The guy got a DWI on Ballhead Island, because there's nothing but golf carts out there. There's no cars. But he was drunk and he ran over his mother-in-law. I was like, premeditated? Maybe.
It was a total accident, I swear.
I mean, the case is like, I think we had one dude that got a DWI on a horse. That was here. One guy on a riding lawnmower. I mean,
Now,
like
riding lawnmower, you can't.
George Jones got one on
A
a
horse isn't a motorized vehicle.
we had one. That was, I think the guy was at Wrightsville Beach, as a matter of fact, on a horse and got a DWI.
I mean, George Jones got a DWI on a John Deere lawnmower.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a motorized vehicle.
Yeah. Wow.
Unless it's a wheelchair. You can't get one in a wheelchair.
Well, that's cool.
I mean, we have bonded out some people with like that blew like a 0.28, 0.27, like driving
In the wind, yeah.
in the wind. Yes, you deserve to go to jail. Like you can't, come on. Like you can't do that. I mean, Uber's way cheaper than getting a bond and then bonding out and then getting an attorney and then your insurance premiums
Very
going up.
expensive. Don't do it.
That is true.
Between the bond,
How
the
much?
insurance.
What do you say average between? What do y'all say money wise I was thinking
for an attorney for DWI, I
Well-
had heard that it starts at like 2,500.
no.
Is
I'm talking
accurate?
about between the lawyer fees, the
Yeah.
insurance, the bonding out. How much is it going to cost you?
The expenses is the insurance. That's
Well,
the, I mean,
I had one 15 years ago, and the only thing I've ever gotten that was DWI 15 years ago. Mine was high. Paraguay represented me for that. Took it the whole 2 years and got it from I was a level 1, got it to a 4, which is your best case scenario. And I was just so worried that this was the end of my career, my license, everything. But so I found an insurance company that had a homeowner's first time forgiveness rate for DWIs. So if you owned a home,
good Lord.
and
That's
yeah,
a good deal.
yeah.
But
Shout out to
had
Heinberg Insurance, by the way.
It had to be tied in with a homeowner's policy.
No, this was strictly just a car, but it was because you were lower risk, because you were homeowners, your first one, you had nothing else in your record. And mine only went up like $20. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
But that's also been
I used to
15
tell,
years.
yeah, now this has been a while back. I mean, a long time ago, but I would tell people, like if you have this and you meet this criteria, this, but I mean, you got between, like you said, the insurance, the attorney fees, the possible bond fees, may or may not,
Yeah.
as far as that goes. And then usually an attorney, if I'm correct, they will advise you to go take a alcohol class to show that you're trying to be progressive and
An alcohol assessment?
yeah, alcohol assessment class. That,
Yeah, and sometimes it even required to go ahead and put a scram bracelet on before.
right. That too, depending on your level, how many times it's been, how you're, trying to avoid jail time. So yeah, and you got cost to all this stuff. So it can really add up.
I've had my clients tell me that their insurance went up by like 5 times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Good
I've heard the
God.
stories. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
or
you're just-
drop you.
Yeah, if you can even keep it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not.
So I mean, you're looking at total cost for a DWI around 10 to 12,000, I would guess.
Yeah, so better yet, spend that $40 to take an Uber ride home. I'm telling you, it's well worth it.
It was amazing because I was in Wilmington when Uber came, and they've gone back up again. But man, for a little while, DWIs dropped off. Like they just basically stopped.
Yeah.
Like nobody was getting DWIs anymore.
Smart,
People have gotten used to it again, so they're back to risking it.
I remember when there was a bunch of cabs running around here. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you could hardly ever see one every now and again. Well, maybe on Friday and Saturday nights down here, but I stay away from downtown.
Yeah.
Unless when you're down here for work, I don't come down here for anything. So, all right. Anything else, that you represent? Is there any big companies that or insurance agencies that you represent?
Yeah. For those of you who are concealed carry holders, or you don't even actually have to have a concealed carry permit. There's a company called USCCA, or U.S. Concealed Carry Association. They do. They sell concealed carry insurance or use of force insurance.
I've got one.
Now you had a client that had to use this, right?
I'm representing him right now.
Right. I mean, if we can discuss it, he literally had only had it like a month or two, I think, before something happened. Is that right?
He hadn't had it long.
Hadn't had it long, and then he had a situation that a person he had to shoot.
It was a non-lethal use of force. I mean, he had to use his firearm to protect his wife, and he did everything exactly the way if I'd been standing there with him, he did everything exactly right. Left the scene, made sure he was safe, immediately called the police, met the police, didn't give a statement, but he was, after he got out of the hospital, because he had a pretty serious medical condition that was aggravated by the stress, but so he was charged with assault with a deadly weapon inflicting serious injury.
With intent. We bonded him out.
Yeah, he may have been originally with the intent to kill, but they indicted him on the lower level assault with a deadly weapon.
But this service covered his attorney fees and his bond fees.
They cover everything.
Yeah, that was amazing.
They paid me. We've hired 3 3 experts. 2 of them are from out of state. Flying one in from the use of force guy. We're flying him in from Utah, and we're flying a crime scene recreationist in from Ohio.
Wow.
And we hired a cardiologist out of Chapel Hill at a UNC to come down.
I imagine all this isn't cheap.
Oh, no. And it didn't cost him a dime. We went down. They called me the night that it happened, and I went down and met him at the hospital in Rocky Mount at 9:00 on a Sunday night. And, that was literally a matter of hours after it happened. And then once we found out he had a bond, we went and turned him in. I brought Rob with me. And so, we turned him in, bailed him out. Of course, they decided to play a little game and wait a week and take out a misdemeanor.
Oh, that's right.
Take out a misdemeanor charge on him. So when we found out but didn't tell us. So we found out about it, went and turned him in, but because it was on a Friday and he was already on bond, even though the underlying charges were for the same event, they took out 2 sets of charges. Pitt County, their magistrates are not exactly what you would call smart. So,
well, I can say that about a few minutes.
Well, the officer that served the warrant was like, Your Honor, he's already on a bond for this case. He didn't go out and catch new charges. And they were like, nope, don't have time to think. So he had to sit in jail all weekend.
Oh, man.
Didn't have his medication. I think he ended up getting bronchitis. But again, point being is that company paid for his bond.
Right.
Paid for the experts, paid for his legal fees.
Tell everybody that, is out there, because, we got a lot of gun owners that are out there listening. What company was this again?
It's the U.S. Concealed Carry Association, or USCCA.
USCCA.
And it's cheap. And if you're a veteran or a first responder, they give you a discount too. I think it's like $20 or $25 a month. And it covers up to millions of dollars in coverage.
It's $2 million in legal fees and bonding and
yeah.
Wow.
So
nice.
That's awesome.
And for the record, I'm not compensated by them to sell it.
Right.
I'm one of their attorney providers, and it's a good service. I think people.
I think it's a great service. That's why I signed up for it. So that's why I got it. And they also give me like a free little bag and stuff.
Yeah, they'll send you a bag.
Yeah, they send you kind of goodies. They send you a lot of junk emails.
Well, it's like anybody.
Yeah, I know, right?
Once they get that email, they're going to use it.
Yeah, so, I see them. I've got a conference next week, and I'll see them there. There's them, and there's another company that's similar to them.
Legal Shield or something?
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Well, Legal Shield's a little different, but there's like the Armed Citizens Network or Armed Citizens Defense League or something like that. There's several smaller companies out there that are doing it, but the big one right now. And there are people that have, there's stuff on YouTube, people complaining about them, but I've been working with them for 4 or 5 years, and I've represented several people for them and gotten not guilties or dismissals on everything. And they pay, they don't question it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it. It's like $300 a year, I think, for like their
So, David, tell everybody at home how they can get a hold of you if they need you down here in the Wilmington, Pender, Brunswick, anywhere in North Carolina, pretty much.
You can just Google David Gross Attorney, where the name of the firm is the Gross Law Group. We're based out of here in Wilmington, but I have cases all over eastern North Carolina, all the way out to Wake County, all the way out to the western part of the state. So
okay,
I don't charge for consult. So if you have a question about a criminal defense situation, you can feel free to call me. And if I can help you, I'll help you. If not, I'll recommend somebody that can.
Awesome.
So,
but now since excuse me, hell, it's 29 minutes in. We only got about a minute left. So, David, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. It was awesome.
Well, I appreciate you having me on.
It's about time. We've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah, I'll be coming back.
All right, that's what I'm talking about.
We'll have another topic to discuss.
Yeah, maybe we can come up with another game plan when we're all three flounder gigging this season.
Well, that'd be nice.
If we have a flounder season, that would be great.
All right, so give it up for Mr. Gross one more time. All right. Well, until then, I'm Rob.
I'm Chad, and this is
Dave.
Right on.
So we'll check you out next time. Later.
You've been listening to Off the Hook with Chad and Rob. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. And be sure to follow us for notifications for another exciting episode. But in the meantime, you can go to our website at www.offthehookbail.com to see more. So until next time, stay out of trouble, or it'll be you that needs to get off the hook. See you soon.